No, you hang up the phone. This is Synoptic and I'm doing a live commentary battle, two of them in fact. In this one, I'm playing as the Gauls versus Germania on the Italian lowlands. I'll go through the units in the information bar as these battles go way too fast and I'm going to have some trouble describing some stuff as it is. So within the first seconds of the fight, my opponent is COTB Centurion. He calls me a hill camper as I was looking for his general, which is kind of cool. But anyway, I'll be mounting the attack here. He merely did a Phalanx rush. It's on a virtually even space. I'm going to guard my left flank with one swordsman and then do a swamping attack on his general unit on my right side. So I'm going to hit him with two infantry and guard the flanks with the two other infantry. I have a cav unit far in the background, which is probably why he's left his contingent force, flanking force of 3 Knight Raiders and a Naked Fanatic in the background. He has 3 cavalry units on my right, 2 Gothic Cavalry and a Noble. So most of my units are gold. I need to hold his left flank as I mount this assault, so I'm going to hit his chosen archers. He has 4 of them. I actually don't know how you can say someone's a hill camper when you have long range archers and the other person has skirmishers. I was surprised at how fast the ammo ran out. That's something I wasn't paying attention to, so they've already run out of ammo. I probably could have used them for something, but it kind of route too easy anyway, those skirmishers. So he has a reserve force of heavy axemen. I just routed them then. I just punched through them and hit the flank at the same time with my contingent swordsman unit. And it's time to send in my protecting force of infantry into the fight now, so I'm causing a rout on both sides. I noticed his cavalry is currently idle, so I'm sending one infantry unit to go, and he's charging them right now, which was kind of scary at the time. But for some reason when I'm charging it, his charge effect is kind of minimalized. But at the same time I'm going to send up my noble as well as my general's bodyguard to hit the wings. And I'm going to send up my druids now. This is exactly when I need them. You saw at the start I sent my bodyguard to the main force of 4 swordsmen. I did not want any units to rout. I don't really play this game much. This is around my 30th battle. However, I do have a pretty good idea of how crap the Gauls are. I have very distinct memories when I was about 12 and destroying them with maybe 3 generals' bodyguards, entire full stack armies in the campaign. So here now we have mass rout, death of a general, always terrible. So all that's really left is his contingent force that was left out of the main fight. So all his chosen archers and spearmen are on their way out. So he has these Knight Raiders left. And I learned afterwards of their effect in the battle. They have this Intimidate, which is kind of bad for my troops. On the far left, I actually missed that out. I was trying to send my 2 cavalry on the left to the midsection, which would have continued my assault and then further caused mass rout. However, he made a Gaul sandwich out of my army. So you probably have to go back to see that. I was trying to swing them to the middle, which is a medieval 2 move. However, in this game, all cavalry units appear to be made of glue, and they got stuck and routed just like that. So that was a failed attempt. Although one of my cav units is coming back now, so I still have most of my army, and this is clearly the end game, just mopping up. So spearmen hitting the flanks, just swarming one, and they're taking advantage of the whole routing factor of the game. Especially the general. Losing a general is always bad in any Total War game, especially if you maintain the assault during the short phase that he has died, because it appears to be magnified for a short amount of time, but after that they seem to stabilize all the units. Also the druids.
The enemy have been utterly broken. This is a most worthy victory.
And you can see my name there. I'm playing under the name Muskets Are Better, and here he's whinging. That was not a good game to him. And his name is Centurion, but I can think of a more accurate, more descriptive name of the player. So good. So I think it's a good game to Crying Kid. Now this battle is far different. I actually have a skirmishing army, playing as the Dacians. I probably pronounced that wrong. On one of the desert maps. This time I have 4 chosen swordsmen, 4 archers, 1 chosen archer, 5 barbarian nobles, a folksman, and one of those missile cav. And my opponent is playing as the Greeks with 4 Cretan archers, 6 armoured hoplites, 2 Spartans, and 5 Greek cav. So I know a lot of people will say all those nations are varied, but most of them are only one-trick ponies. And there's very little variation. So if a player plays a nation, you have a pretty good idea what's going to happen. So the Greeks, hopeless cav, atrocious cavalry. whereas obviously the infantry are way better. And we're gonna see how long it takes to kill some Spartans who are quite resilient. So he has those long range archers, so I have to close the gap as fast as possible, just running up there. And I also have a missile cav just right in the flanks. I'm not going into loose formation or Cantabrian circle, mostly because he's not shooting at them. I'm also going to enter melee with them. I entered melee earlier on, I had to cut that out, just to stop them from shooting temporarily. So I made them run, and as I advanced my archers again, so further closing the gap. Because that's the only real advantage I see with those elite archers, is just that the first shot, which is quite evident also in Empire Total War. Whoever gets the first shot will generally win the long range fight. But if you close that gap quickly, it can swing against them. And seeing as they are so expensive, it's pretty bad if they lose the long range fight. And he has lost the long range fight. And I have a peasant unit, I forgot to mention that. And he's going to Phalanx rush me. And this is what I like about non-flat maps. His advance is going to be segmented, and I'm going to take advantage over this. I have my peasant unit on the left flank. I'm going to just charge them at one of the Phalanx units, which is going to cause some gaps. He also starts chasing my archer unit, who I've just left really, really close. So my peasant unit is now disrupting the main line. And I've also noticed one thing about his army, he's very reluctant to leave his cavalry alone. His Spartans are always near them, because he clearly knows that if he leaves the cavalry, they'll just die. So now that I've disrupted them, this is similar in my previous post in the Stalin tournament, just using a low quality unit just to block and disrupt. So now that the line's broken, the main weakness of a phalanx is the flanks and the rear, so I hit the flanks on one unit that was left open. He pulled out one of his phalanx units just before contact to try and close the right side gap, although the left side was always open because of the peasant unit. Noticing this volley, he's going to send in his main body, and this is really quite intimidating, seeing as the Spartans will annihilate a lot of troops without even trying. So as he's sending his entire main body forward, I can start sending cavalry to the rears. So I have one swordsman who I've left out of the majority of the fight, and I've clamped them in with a cavalry unit, and I still have two other cav units coming in now. I'm sending in my Volksmen to attack the unit that my peasant has held. I want them to stay out of the fight. Preferably I'd like these Spartans to be left alone. You can see the mass rout now, a whole bunch of infantry, armoured hoplites, and Greek cav just going away just like that. I wish I could say the same for the Spartans. They will not rout anywhere near as easily. So now I have my cavalry in the rear, and it is now becoming my primary objective to further eliminate what's left of those archers. I won't do it just yet. I'm going quite crazy with these routing units. Seeing that many, and knowing me, I'll practically go nuts in trying to kill them all, halting whatever attack I've been trying. He still has 3 armoured hoplites on my left in that peasant fight. And now, with virtually no cav left, I have to try and get my archers to the rears of these units. And he's very quick in turning these phalanxes around, so that's going to make quite hell for my cav, and I'll lose a lot of units in trying to rout these Spartans. But as we saw, so many units routed just then, and a lot of them make a comeback, so that's going to make this battle last much longer in me trying to reroute the units. And here again, I'm trying to charge him, but he turns around quite fast, and I got to pull him out. But the main damage has been dealt. No cav, no archers, so just his phalanx. He's trying to try and guard his Spartans with his remaining armored hoplites. As you can see, they're just kind of flailing about, going after my cav, but he still doesn't want to leave them too far alone, so he'll retreat back. Although in the end game, slowly but surely, those Spartans will slowly die down. But you can see in the unit cards, so many of my chosen swordsmen have died, and so many of my cav has died as well. So every time I make contact, I'll lose a bunch. And this is maybe 8 minutes after. So I had a pretty fair go with shooting the rears. Now, a unit that has no shields and not dying from rear attacks from archers gets a pretty big WTF moment from me. I didn't really understand. And my opponent's Cleisthenes, and is much more admirable than the previous opponent. So he says, nice, good game. I respond, good game. Again with the muskets are better name. So again, taking on Phalanx army, except much different, just going straight for the cav kill, as opposed to the other one, which is the main body kill, and general going right after the general. His general was the Spartan, which might explain why they fought so hard, and has him exclaiming his hate for the Greek cav. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.